There we go. I'm like doing this first off. I was like,
I
what's
like
that
it.
all about?
Hello, Becky, how are you?
I'm good. Welcome to our episode 2, which I
Yes,
think it is,
welcome.
which is very
Yes,
good, isn't it?
yeah.
Episode 1's
Look
up
at us.
there, you know. Now we're episode 2 already. We
I
can
know,
just,
already beating down the doors for all the offers of making it into a
well, yeah,
lifetime
I
TV
mean,
show.
it has been the response has been astounding, hasn't it?
Has been overwhelming, yes.
Overwhelming, it has been, yes. But,
But here we
yeah,
are back and ready
here we
to
are.
talk some more. So what
Talk
are we
some
going to talk
more.
about today?
Think we're going to talk. So I had the privilege of going to Anne Boleyn the Musical at the weekend. So I think we might talk about that a
We
little bit.
definitely have to talk about that.
But
And also we're going to talk about the King and Conqueror TV show
we
and
are.
our very clear opinions about that.
It's had mixed reviews. So
Mixed reviews,
let's
yes.
talk about that. Yes, and then
Yes.
maybe do a cheeky little snog, marry, avoid with the characters
Yes.
from
Well,
King and
it would be
Conqueror.
rude. It'd be rude not to, wouldn't
It
it?
would be
So we
rude not
need
to.
to. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think also we should touch upon the fact that we're both doing this course at the moment, aren't we?
Mm, we are the lovely Nathan Amin and Nicola Tallis, and
Yes.
their
The
course.
Tudors, creation of a dynasty, which we're
Wow.
doing online with a live question and answer coming up this weekend. So I don't know about you, Bex, but I have a billion questions to ask ready.
I have.
So it's
Yes.
going to be very exciting. So we can talk about that maybe next
Mm,
time we get together.
yeah, definitely. That sounds
But
good.
yes, but they're both fantastic, amazing, and brilliant historians. So we can talk about that, can't we?
We can. We can.
Yes.
Lots to
Because
talk about.
we actually do some proper listening and reading and understanding history as well as just having opinions about it.
We do have a lot of opinions. We do, I think, this podcast really is for our historical ramblings, isn't it?
Yeah.
Per se. Historical ramblings, historical icon character assassinations, apparently, a bit of
And why we all love it so much and
why
what
we
is
love
it
it.
that we love
Yeah.
and imagining ourselves and questioning what we would do with
Yeah.
our 21st century heads on and all of that. I mean, yeah, and it's so brilliant to have someone to talk to who loves this stuff as much as I do.
Exactly.
So
Exactly. And I like it particularly because you fangirl exactly the same as I do over some of our favourite historians and which we like. So, it's a win-win all
yes.
round, really.
Oh yeah, I mean, when people are like, "So who's that?" and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, you don't know who that is?" I realise how much I sound like my 17-year-old daughter. So there we are. So that's where she gets it from. But yes, it's to me, they're the superstars. They're
They
much more
are.
interesting than Take That or whatever is what's in. I don't even know who's number one or what at the moment. Do you?
Do they still have that? I don't know.
I don't know.
Far,
Take That still
far too
alive.
old.
So I guess first things first, we should talk about your trip to Hever Castle,
Oh
which
my
I'm
God.
super jealous about. So,
Honestly.
so give me an overview. What I mean,
No,
you stayed there, you went
I
round there, and
know.
then you went
I
to the
know.
musical.
I mean,
How was it?
shout out to my husband for buying me the most perfect Christmas gift ever, quite frankly, because
Yes, massive
yeah,
brownie
so I
points.
mean, in fairness, I had, when it got announced last year, Anne Boleyn the Musical, I was like tongue in cheek, sent him a link saying, well, I think we should go to this, and
Yes.
actually kind of promptly forgot about it because I'm not even sure the tickets had gone on sale when I found out about it when they announced it last year. And so I'd sent him the link and I was like, yeah, he's never going to go for that. But then he did. And then on Christmas Day, he sort of like said, oh, by the way, I've got tickets to go and see it in August, and we're going to stay at the castle as well, which is just amazing, just
What he
absolutely amazing.
nonchalantly just presented this to you.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
He's a good old egg, is my husband. So
And because you sent me a few of the photos, so then he's then photographer for you when you're stood pointing at amazing artifacts and photos and paintings. Yeah.
he is. I mean, bless him. Yes, long suffering, and yeah, and it's quite funny now because he knows like whenever we go to a castle or a stately home or whatever it is, and I'm like there with my phone out, maybe the mini tripod or whatever, I'm going around, and he just he knows to just stand back and like make it like he can sort of sense me. He knows where I'm going to go with it, and so he's just like, oh,
Wait, as
almost
a
it doesn't eye roll.
director.
In fairness, he doesn't eye roll, but I. If I did it more than I do, I think he'd start eye rolling a lot more. But yeah, it's fine. So he's very supportive and he's very good. Very good production assistant. That's what we're going to call him.
Yes. Yeah,
Because everyone needs one.
exactly. They're number two. Would he
But
appreciate that? No, probably
no,
not.
probably
But
not.
no. But that's what my husband does. When we went to Lords the other day, and he was like, "Do you want me to take
Mm.
a photo of you by Joss? Do you want me to take a photo of you by this? Do you want me to take a photo?" And I was like, "Yes, please." So yeah, he does. He does roll his eyes. He's not very good at hiding it, and
I
so do
mean,
my kids. But it, he gets through it. He knows now
exactly.
not to argue or discuss it. He just
Yes, it's
he
just
knows the
happening.
easiest thing is just to do it and get on
Just do
with
it.
it. So shout out to
Absolutely.
the husbands, yeah,
Yes, very good.
the
They are
magnet
very good.
husbands, yeah,
Magnet husbands, yes.
yeah.
But
So where
but
so
yeah.
where did you actually stay in the
So
actual castle? Or because they have a
so
bit behind,
yes, they
don't
have a
they?
bit behind. So when so the actual the actual castle bit, the
Yeah. Oh, it's amazing there.
medieval fortressy bit, you don't stay in there, which is kind of fine, fair enough. I mean, obviously, because that's where all the tourists and visitors go and have a look, and they the rooms are obviously done out splendidly, and they even had all of the um which friend of history magnets, Dr. Owen Emerson, who is chief historian there. Might not be
Oh,
his job title, but amazing guy there. Uh he told us about that they had all the Wolf Hall costumes there as well, which
oh
is amazing.
wow.
Yeah, and I don't
Oh
think
yes.
I got a funny feeling they're not there for too much longer. Maybe just like the up to this this end of this year, maybe. So
Yeah.
yeah, so that was amazing. So they just had them dotted around. So it was like
Oh
wonderful to sort of like
wow.
see those as well. But yeah, so you've got your main kind of like entrance and main fortress, kind of medieval fortress type place. So you don't sleep there. What you do is you've got kind of like the Tudor wing and the Astor wing. It's kind of set behind, and you're in a wing. You've got a separate entrance, and you go in, and there's lots of different rooms. I mean, the it's like a maze out there. It really, I mean, there's two mazes at the castle grounds, but it actually in there is like a maze, and I was just enthralled because I was just like, please make me see my bedroom window from like the castle, because I wanted to do, I don't know whether you saw it on the socials, but I was just like, I could stand in Anne Boleyn's
Yes.
bedroom and look out the window, and then I could see our bedroom window, and I was just, well, that blew my tiny little mind, because I was just like,
Yeah.
I'm standing in the bedroom, because I think it was like the bestest bedchamber, so she took that over by all accounts when she started dating Henry VIII, and when he was trying
Amazing.
to lure her in, and so I think she was there in there, and that blew my mind, because I was just like, oh my
Yeah.
god, what happened in this room? I mean, we know what happened, but like, well, she might have been, no, she was very good back then, wasn't she, supposedly?
Well,
But
did you? Is that the first time you've been there?
no, I've been there before. I've been there like
Yeah.
3 or 4 times, because I'm
Because
quite
I
sad
went.
like that.
I had my 40th birthday there, which is December, so it was all Christmassy.
Oh,
So
lovely.
all the when you go into the dining bit, it was all done up for like Christmassy
Oh,
tree. So I was
wonderful.
in there. But when I went into, it must have been her bedroom, and I went in there and I basically burst into tears. And
Did
my
you?
kids,
Yeah.
who were like, I think they're about 11, they're like, "You're going to do this for the whole day?"
Every
I was like,
room.
"Yes," because this is just like she stood here, and then I'm like touching
Yes.
the floors because
Yes.
you're like she stood here. She
Yeah.
would have stood here and been in this room, and then you like listen, don't you? Like, if
Yeah.
can I hear her?
Yeah.
Because it's just so powerful that
Really is.
feeling.
It's so powerful. Oh my God. You see, this is why we are the history magnets, because you're exactly the same as me. And even so, when we turned up on Saturday, and we'd walked in and walked into kind of like where outside the castle, and you could see the where the musical was taking place. They've got this massive covered stand. It's huge, absolutely huge.
Oh,
And we walked over
beautiful.
so I could sort of like see it, and then the castle was in like in the kind of like the background, and I burst into tears there. I was just like so excited that
Yeah.
that I was there, and I
Oh
hadn't even gone
wow.
in again. I mean, like a number of times I've visited, and I still get it. You still get the chills, and you still get the whole. Oh my God, this is such a pivotal place in
Yeah.
history for us.
Yeah.
You know, as you know, we've said before in our last episode. You know, Anne Boleyn definitely was our gateway into kind of history, as I
Yeah.
think it is for a lot of people. The Tudors are, rightly or
It's
wrongly.
it's
It's
like
like,
a
you know,
It's like a pilgrimage, isn't it? You're
it is
going to
like a
Hever.
pilgrimage.
It
Yes.
is. It
Yeah.
really is. It's like a mecca
Yeah.
to us. So I totally get that. I mean, I used to go a lot to Dunster Castle. We've talked about that before.
Yes.
When I
Yeah.
was a little girl, because I live near there, and every time I went there, just the as soon as you saw the view up the market square up to the
Yeah.
castle. When I was a little girl, I used to just
Yeah.
get like chills because I just absolutely love it. Just because you think this is the first sight people would have seen when they seen this.
Yeah.
And Hever, when you go in and it's so beautiful, the surroundings and all
Mm.
it's so green around there.
Mm.
And I mean, it must have been lovely in summer with flowers everywhere, and
It's
must have
beautiful.
been very
So
colourful and
beautiful.
that.
And you know, I'm going to say something a bit bad here, but I don't mean to, don't want to. But when
Go on.
I because it was perfect. But on Saturday, I mean, it's bank holiday weekend. What were we thinking? Of course, it was going to be very busy because
Oh,
it was bank holiday weekend and there were lots of people there. So the most amazing bit of staying there is that actually you get up and you can walk the grounds when no one's there, you know.
oh.
So you get the chance to kind of like walk around. You can't go into the actual castle, but you can be the first person there. So
But
we
you can
went into
pretend it's your house.
you can
Oh, I'm just
pretend
walking
is
up.
basically
I'm
where
just
you
walking around
live.
my gardens.
Yes,
Yeah.
basically, yeah.
Oh,
So
I
it was
can't
just
wait.
it was amazing, and so we were like first in the queue to kind of like go, and because we'd
Of
been in there.
course.
Yes, because I've been there before as well. Let's not forget, I've been there several times before. I know what to expect. I mean, it still takes your breath away, and you're still mightily impressed. But we'd been there on the Saturday, and then on the Sunday morning we were there, and I was just like, right, this is my moment to go and get content because no one else is going to be there. So like, I'm like, I will
Yes.
put some out on social, but there's like loads of stuff where you know you're literally walking down the long gallery on your own because no one else has
Oh,
got to that stage because everyone else is that day's tourist, if that makes sense. So there, so
yeah.
I felt incredibly lucky. It's almost not out of hours because we were like the castle had just opened, but it felt like you were kind of like an out of hours visitor to it, and you had the castle to yourself.
Oh,
It was
God.
actually amazing. So yeah, so
Oh,
I'd thoroughly recommend it. So I would suggest that Matt probably needs to buy you a stay there for your birthday or so Christmas or something like that. And
yes.
you could.
Renew our wedding vows there. I keep saying that.
Yes. Can I be the bridesmaid?
Yes, yes. You can wear a pink bridesmaid dress. Yeah. I might need to float this idea past him.
Yeah. I'm sure you can sell it in. I'm sure you can.
Yeah. Well, maybe we should make some sort of new celebration, like a magnet celebration there. Have a big
Yeah.
party and get
Maybe a
sponsored by Hever or something. Yeah. Oh, it'd be beautiful.
that
But
would be good.
I so what was the musical itself? Because
Oh,
obviously I have that you sent me a video of Henry VIII walking past you flirting with you
well,
right in front of Anne
I
Boleyn.
mean, yeah, so I'm not entirely certain they have Henry VIII there all the time. So I think it was just because they have the jousting, they had the jousting there in the event field, and you know, and I think they have like characters dressed up in Tudor costume and stuff, but actually Henry VIII and Anne Boleyn were there as well. Whether or not they're the whole time, I don't know. But it was like very impressive. But yes, he did walk past, and he did. And to be fair, when when we were walking back to go to our room and or suite I should say, we were in the Edward the VII suite. That's what we were in. So
Oh,
it was all very
lovely.
yeah, it was all very nice. And we were like waiting outside, and this guy comes up behind me and walks past me, and he said, oh, it's the Pink Lady, because it actually was Henry VIII, but he derobed and he was just like his normal character, his normal man self, and he was
Yeah.
leaving because he'd done his job for the day, and he was leaving. So yeah, bless his heart. But he was very funny. But he was, and I will put a little clip in here of what Henry VIII said to me, flirted with me when he went past, so
Flirted
that
with,
everyone
yeah.
can see why I'm referencing the Pink Lady. But yeah, because I'm always in pink.
Afternoon.
Afternoon.
Good heavens, you're not just pink, you're pink!
I'm very pink.
Oh, rich indeed in those colours, my lady.
Um,
About the musical.
oh, the actual musical. Yeah, that's the reason
Yes.
why we were there. It was well, I started to cry then as well at the beginning of that. Well, so you can it was so they kind of hold you outside and you have like a couple of drinks and it was all very nice and it was a lovely summer's evening, so it was all very civilized. And you walk into like the actual stand auditorium bit, and they give you these headphones, so it's like a silent disco. If you've ever done a silent disco, which is just like,
No. But
what?
I
You
know.
would love it.
I
Oh my
think I
god,
would love it.
I
I
love
don't think
silent
anyone
discos.
standing around me would love it, but I would love it.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's fine though. They can't hear you because they've all got their own earphones on, and I
Oh
just,
yeah.
yeah. Um, but yeah, so they give you your own personal headphones, and then so well, I was just like, so we walked up to the top, and then you kind of, so you have to go up the steps to get to it, and then you look down, and you could see the castle just in the background, and then so I was like welling
Oh,
up, but well, just by even like seeing that. Walked down, got our seats, and the best bit, you got a nana little blanket for your knee, because I'm just
oh
like,
yes.
and I was just like literally, this is made for me. Like, I'm like grabbing my husband's. You don't need that. Like, you know, like I'm like sitting there with like, um,
He's
and
freezing, but
yeah,
yes.
and then so the whole thing, honestly, the production of it was just amazing for someone like me to sit there in front of Hever Castle and just seeing,
Oh,
and honestly, the chills, you just would have loved it, the chills when you see, because I knew this was going to happen, that Anne Boleyn walks from the castle towards you, where like where you're thinking, she walks across like the gardens towards you, and I was just like, so I was kind of looking out for it and I couldn't see her because there was this like tree thing in the way, and then my husband was like, there she is, and I was just like, oh my god, I was just like that, and then I was like, I was just like, it's Anne Boleyn. Like, you know,
don't marry
it's
him.
no, keep away.
Don't do
Like,
it. He's behind you.
yeah, exactly. But it was just amazing. So, and of course, you've got your own headphones on, so you can hear everything. You know, sometimes when you go to a theatre and you've got
Yeah.
like ambient noise from other people and whatever, but this is just. It
So
was
you're
just,
locked
it
in.
was so good. You are literally, so it's really immersive. You felt it was like really immersive. So I was just like kind of blown. And then you see her walking and you're just like, that is exactly what Anne Boleyn could have done. She could have walked where
Yeah.
exactly the actress Emily Lane is like walking now, and just, and I was just like, and then Henry VIII turns up and he's on a horse, and I'm like, oh my god, stop it now! It was just like, this is all just too much, and yeah, it was
Did
just
did the
amazing.
horse did the horse do a poo?
Not that I saw, not that I saw.
Professional, like
Very
it.
professional. There were a couple of horses, didn't see either of them do a poo, so that's good.
Brilliant. Well trained
But
horses.
but yeah, but I mean, honestly, I was just, but the whole thing. So then they also have, which I kind of semi regret not applying for, but I don't know how I would have done it because I live in Somerset. I don't live in Kent. But they were asking for community kind of cast in there, so a volunteer community cast. So you've got your main characters, which are obviously very talented actors and actresses who are, paid to do the job. But then also you've got the ensemble, which are like, your dancers and your rent a crowd type thing, who were brilliant, absolutely brilliant, but they were all local people,
Oh,
and so they were doing it, and I was just like, oh, it could have been me. I did, there was parts of me like, oh, I should have done it, should have done that.
I could have been that wench or that
I could have been that
late
busty wench.
landlady.
Yes, exactly. Yes, I would have been perfect for it. Um, but yeah, so it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. And Emily Lane, so she was just phenomenal. Her voice was just amazing. And you know what I really liked about it was that, sometimes Anne Boleyn can be portrayed as like a femme fatale, or
Yeah.
like a Oh, I don't know. You know, they belittle her, and she was all just about getting Henry and that. You know,
Was
and
quite she can come across as quite waspish um
yes,
and quite a modern woman when really she
yeah,
was in
yeah,
there just doing her
yeah,
best, I guess,
yeah,
trying to
and
survive what she's trying to do.
exactly, and it really did show that side of Anne Boleyn, which I was quite grateful for because I don't think you see it. You know, when you see some of these Tudor adaptations on TV or whatever, and sometimes you see it and you're like, yeah, that's not how I see Anne would have been, but I think this was how I think Anne would have been, you know. So
Well, she
yeah.
can't have been like that 24/7. I mean, I always think that because she was a mum, she had a child, she
Yes.
miscarried, she went
Yes.
through
Yes.
awful things going on, losing
Yeah.
babies and stuff.
Yeah.
So that human side of her, she had like all that pressure on her from her family and particularly her uncle and her father and stuff, plus wooing Henry, trying not to actually let him
Yeah.
too close and all of the rest of it, whatever
Yeah.
her plans were or whatever her intentions were, plus half the court hating her because they were on Catherine's side.
Catherine's side. Mm.
So you think, and when it then became obvious that she was losing control when Jane Seymour's
Mm.
on the scene, and I mean, she obviously didn't think she's going to lose her head, but there must have been that point where the tables were turning
Yeah.
and she's on the other side, and like trying to sort of maintain that I'm the queen and that's how
Yeah.
it's going to be, but really, I mean, how old was she when she died? She 31, 32?
Well, this is all depends on when we think she was born because we
Yeah,
have that age-old
exactly.
debate, don't we? But yeah, so she's
Yeah,
what's the she
early
would have been
30s.
yeah, yeah,
And, she obviously didn't think it was going to happen, what happens to her. But, I
no,
mean, she's in the tower and then they're erecting a scaffold and, that she knows her brother and friends of hers
yeah,
who are condemned to death because of her and all the rest of it.
yeah,
And never seeing her daughter again, all those things. And you think, well, actually, like, would you wish that on your worst
no,
enemy, even if
no,
you weren't that keen on her,
no,
even if you're
exactly.
divided opinion about her? So, but did the musical go through the whole of her life?
So it did. So they tried to, obviously you had 2 hours, you had two halves, and it was an hour each, and they were trying to
Get everything in.
yeah, which so it was hard. So it started off with her education abroad and stuff like that, and then finished
Mm.
where we know it finishes. Um, so yeah, I think it's such a vast topic when you
Yeah,
know that topic that
yeah,
trying to shoehorn it into 2 hours is quite difficult, I would say, you know.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, but yeah, so it covered the whole thing. So yeah, it
So
was
who
amazing.
who else was good in it? So obviously you had a Henry VIII, but
Yeah,
who were the other main players?
so
A
Cromwell
Cromwell?
was
Yeah.
Cromwell was in it. He was brilliant. He had I can't remember the actor's name. I can't. We have a little program here. We have a little
Oh,
program. Look at that. Look, she's wistfully looking out the window where I was stood, wistfully
oh,
looking out the window.
that does look like you with her
That's it.
dark hair.
Hang on, let me see. So yeah, so Harry, they had a Harry Percy.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah. Hang on, let me find him. Oh, Mark Goldthorpe was King Henry, and Matt Bond. I don't know if you can see him.
Oh,
He was just if you just look at him, you can see you're like, oh yeah, hello. But he had a great voice, and he was just like, oh, I mean, they were all brilliant. They really were.
yeah,
It was very good. Um, and they had Wolsey, and you know, and a lot of the cast played a few characters. Do you see what I mean?
yeah,
Like, you know, just
yeah.
for ease,
So
really.
is Cromwell sort of the bad guy in it, or is he a
Yeah,
more well balanced person? So,
yeah. I mean, it's Cromwell, but yeah, not as bad. Like, I mean, do you know what, Cromwell? I have a bit of a not a thing, but like I don't think I dislike Cromwell as a lot of other people dislike Cromwell. Is
well,
what I'm
no,
going to say.
I don't
Yeah,
at all, and I know I'm extremely coloured by Wolf Hall and
yeah,
Hilary Mantel's version, but to me, it's such a human version because
yeah,
I know it's told through his eyes, but because of her storytelling, I feel like you get a real rounded shape, because
Yeah.
he makes his decisions, and you see his thought process. So he becomes so human, and to me, he's always been very modern. And because of his fall, it meant that you only hear sort of the bad account. So I grew up with the old fashioned, he
Yeah.
was very, he got above his station and all the rest of it.
Mm.
But actually, he was a clever, clever guy.
Yeah.
And I think he was definitely, on the bad end of Henry VIII's one of his worst days. And I think Henry VIII regretted it, and he did so much when you think about it. But yeah, it's always pitted, because I think people forget that at the beginning, Anne Boleyn and him were on the same side. They were,
Exactly. Yeah.
he came into prominence because he was getting that divorce that Wolsey couldn't
Couldn't
quite
get.
clinch.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and it just shows how human it is, because it's not so black and white or good and bad,
Yeah.
or,
Yeah.
it's two sides. And that's why I like their relationship in Wolfhall, because she calls him Cromwell, doesn't she? And
Well,
there's a bit of
yes.
teasing and all that sort of thing. And I really love that sort of side of that relationship in the book. But I know and that's one of the things I love talking about with history, because of all the different sides that you can look at it and
Mm.
think about. It's not one dimensional. It's,
No.
you know,
Exactly.
brilliant. So,
Yeah.
but yes, I'm extremely jealous of you
Yeah. It
watching
was.
that. Did you cry at the end?
Yeah. Yeah. Of course it did. Yeah.
That's why you had
Yeah.
that blanket to mop up the
But yeah,
tears.
it was fine. And then because obviously they've lit up the castle, and then so the whole lighting rig and everything is in with the
Oh,
whole production. So the
yeah.
whole like the castle's lit up and everything, and it's just wonderful. And then right at the very end, so everyone was leaving and stuff, and I was just like, well, let me get a picture of me in front of the castle. And so the stage wasn't like a stage like up here, like it was a stage like short stage. So I literally put a foot onto it, because I'd just seen another woman do it. Put my foot onto it, kind of semi turn around, get off the stage. I was like, oh, it's just okay. Right,
Brilliant.
stand on the stage. You're
Sorry.
all right. Sorry, like, whoops.
Amazing. Well done.
Yeah, I tried, but yeah, failed.
Oh.
But yeah, it was just absolutely wonderful, and I don't think, well, by the time this goes out, it will have finished. I think the last is this weekend, and I
Is
don't
that it?
know whether or not.
Is it a one-off? Is it going to be
See,
shown again, or?
so I don't know. I mean, if I was them, I'd take it back there next year and have it again. But I don't know whether it would work so well when it doesn't have the backdrop of Hever Castle necessarily. If you were going to take it up and put it into the West End or whatever, I
Yeah.
think you would have to do quite a lot to the storyline to make it a little bit more.
Well, especially when you've got six and things like
Yeah,
that. So
yeah.
yeah, I wonder. It sounds like it was a bit of a once in a lifetime
Yeah,
trip,
I think
really.
if I was them, I would definitely try and do it again there next year or in a few years' time, because if you've done it once, you can do it again, sort of thing. You're just rolling it out, and
Well,
it was the Hever Castle that actually really made it
made it.
such a unique experience.
Mm.
Um,
So did you have a comfy bed
oh yeah, oh, it was just wonderful. The whole
and a
thing was wonderful.
breakfast?
So you have breakfast in this. I can't even explain to you what it must look like. It's like the woodwork, the paneling around it. So there's this big kind of hall. I
Oh,
think if you can have your wedding there, and you can have like they'll close off the entire thing. If you hire the whole thing, they'll close it off, and you have like your wedding reception in this hall, and you'll just be like, oh my god, like it was amazing. So you sit there, and I'm just like looking up at the panels while waiting for my scrambled eggs, and I'm just like, it's just it's just amazing,
oh,
just
wow.
just amazing. But yeah, very fancy. But I think it's like, I don't think it's because that part of the house isn't old per se. So,
Yeah.
you know, it's I'm not going to say it's mock Tudor, but I think it is mock Tudor, because I can't remember when it was. Oh, I have my book
Oh,
here.
it's.
Look at me.
Oh.
I don't know.
I
I
just
just,
look in my book.
I don't know. I don't know when they are, but it, honestly, just, I don't know. I don't know when it was built. You see, that's a terrible thing. So that's why I have to go back, because I'm so,
Yes.
Tudors is so my thing.
Mm. Are
And
you
you've got all
blinded
the
to
wonderful
everything else?
story of like the Astor family, who were the ones who actually
Yeah.
salvaged it and made it to what it is so people can visit today. And
Mm.
I've completely bypassed that part of it. So I need to go back to actually just learn about that, really. You know, that's
Yeah.
terrible, isn't it?
Well,
But
when we went, because I said, like I said, it was at Christmas. There were husky dogs there, and that's all my children were interested in. These husky dogs, and I was like, whatever. I know they're cute, but I want to go in the castle. And my kids were like, look at the huskies. I think they're trying to get me to adopt one, but I was like, not
do
interested.
they have, so at Christmas, I think I might have to go at Christmas then. Do they have like beautiful things outside? Do they have like mulled wine and stuff like that? Or like,
They had a merry-go-round, like a vintage
ooh,
merry-go-round thing,
nice. Mm.
a carousel, and they had, yeah, it was just all Christmassy and smelt lovely and
Oh,
holly
yeah.
everywhere and
Oh,
and like lanterns everywhere. It was
oh yeah.
amazing because
Yeah.
we stayed nearby and it was just, well, I spent most of the day crying
Yeah.
about being at Hever and about being 40. So it was, there was a lot of sobbing, but it was amazing. It's one of those places I wanted to go to forever, and it was just glorious. And it
Yeah.
wasn't as busy as I expect it was bank holiday
Yeah.
weekend. But yeah, amazing. I just wish it was closer.
Yeah, I
Um,
know.
I wish I lived there, obviously, but
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I wish I was a Berlin. Do you know anyone called Berlin?
No. No. I need to do what I need to do is I need to do what you're doing is or go back and look at my family tree because you
Mm.
never know. That might
Well,
take
yeah,
place.
I've yet to find a link. I've got a couple of almosts and a couple of things that I haven't got. I did think I was related at one point to John Bunyan, who wrote A Pilgrim's Progress,
Oh.
but that was basically someone else's tree had included him and got it a bit wrong. So that's the thing. You
Oh.
have to be really careful when you do your tree because people just hop on bandwagons and copy other people's. But I
Yeah.
always try and make
You
sure
have
all
to.
the checks are
Well,
definite and well done.
as our course is saying, you need to check your original sources and make
Yeah.
sure it's like,
I think, yeah, I mean, I would love to do that. I've actually been doing some through the National Archives. You can actually help transcribe things. So at the moment, they've got they're transcribe. One of the projects you can transcribe is the police records in London in like the 1830s, 18
oh,
around there. So I've been doing a bit of that, and it's people who've been accused and
yeah.
stuff, and it's things like um, uh, stealing stockings and stealing a man's watch and stealing iron, a bar of iron and things like that. And it's incredible, like things that nobody would even think about. But people have been burgled and they're saying what has been taken from their home. So one guy was like, in Marylebone was like, someone has taken two petticoats and one waistcoat with pearl buttons and things like
Oh,
that. And I absolutely love all that.
that's
So
fascinating. Yeah.
when you just get glimpses of social history like that, I find that really interesting. You can get a lot from doing that. So yeah, if you ever go on the National Archives
Mm,
and put about volunteering, and you can do it
interesting.
digitally. I
Digitally.
can never say that. Digitally, then you can go on and do stuff like that. And I do things like that. Try and do a bit here and there because it is something that you can just do like a page, and then that's still
Yes.
helpful.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah. Oh, that's
um,
interesting. I'll have a look at that. Yeah, definitely
yeah,
do that.
it's called like Look the Page or something. I can't remember exactly, but you
Mm,
can find it if you go in the National Archives because
mm,
those are the things that I find really interesting, and because people have transcribed those pages for documents linked and sources linked to Ancestry, where I do my family
mm,
tree. It
yeah.
means because of them, I've been able to find links to my own family. So that's another reason. It's like paying it back, isn't it? So yeah, we wouldn't get anywhere without that sort of help.
No,
Yeah, there's a small call out there for volunteering. So
very good.
yes,
I will have a look at
yeah,
that. Yeah.
yeah. So what's your next adventure going to be then? Now you've done that because that's a massive tick off the
That is a massive
bucket
tick.
list.
I don't know.
You have to go on safari, maybe.
Oh yeah, I'll go on safari first, and
Yeah.
then go to Zanzibar as well,
Oh,
and
lovely. Yes, that might help.
let's tick that off and
Yeah.
look at the history there. So yes, so
Well,
I will.
that's something we can talk about next time. Is
Mm,
because of the course from Nathan Amin and Nicola Tallis, there's been
mm,
lots of places like they've talked about battles like Toten and Mortimer's Cross, and I've been writing them all down, thinking I haven't actually ever been to some of those places.
no,
I've never been, have you been to Bosworth?
no.
No. So, and there's a Bosworth actual centre of um, the battle and the War of the Roses. So yeah, so I've got a massive list again
We need
of
to do some
places to
field
go
trips.
to.
History magnet
Yeah.
field trips is what we need to do.
Yes, I'm there.
Mm,
That sounds amazing.
yeah.
Perfect. Right. So shall we move on and talk about the King and Conqueror
Shall
series?
we? Which, for those people who don't
Yes.
know what it is where have you been? Because it's been like advertised forever and it
Yes.
actually might only be available in the UK at the moment on BBC. It's on. So I binged the whole thing on iPlayer. Have you watched the whole thing as well?
I haven't watched the whole thing because I'm
Oh,
a bit
oh,
cross. I'm a bit
you're
cross
gonna
about
not
it.
watch it, aren't you? This is going to be your Tudors reinvented. That you're not going to
Yeah,
watch.
I mean, yeah, I still haven't watched the Tudors. I
No, I
can't,
haven't.
and it's funny because I watch like I love Bridgerton, obviously because of Anthony, um, but that's tongue in
Yes.
cheek, and it doesn't propose on any level to be
No,
real history, so I
no,
can cope with that. And the Tudors, I just cannot cope with.
no.
Jonathan, is it
Reese
Jonathan
Reese
Rhys
Myers or
Myers?
something.
I
Yeah.
can't cope with him being Henry VIII, and I
No, I
can't.
mean it's like illogically that is
Yeah,
not what he would. Yeah,
cannot cannot cope with it, and I know I'd be on my soapbox. But this, I on it because the BBC seemed to have spun it as a real historical. I mean, it was a
yeah,
drama, but a real
yeah.
likeness to the account of William the Conqueror and Harold II, and
Mm.
sort of the battle for the crown of England after Edward the Confessor dies. And I was so excited because I thought this is amazing. I love the Vikings and the Last Kingdom, the books and the series. So this is going to be amazing. A top cast in it, and I was so excited. And I just, I was just so disappointed. And because, as per usual, and I say this all the time, the real story is always better. Why do they mess about with it? And I did go ahead and read some spoilers as well. So I know what else they did about the programme. But I mean, I was annoyed straight off when Emma
Yeah,
of Normandy is
yeah,
William the Conqueror's aunt. She wasn't. She was his great aunt because her brother was his grandfather. And they decided to skip
yeah.
all of that out. And they made Edward the Confessor into some weird, mooning half-wit, um, being obsessed with his mum and things like that. And I think I just I was like, that is not what it was like. And Godwin, they made it some Danny Dyer EastEnders like wannabe thing, and I like from what I know of him, and I know I didn't meet him, and we don't know the whole thing, but Godwin and his family, they always made me. I always felt that they were very ambitious and quite cold and calculated, whereas I was waiting for Pat Butcher to show up. It was
Well, what
it
made
was
me
like
laugh was the difference in accents. Like, so
yes,
James Norton, love him,
yeah,
obviously.
and
And
he's
I think
amazing
another thing
actor.
I was like, oh, yeah, because, I loved him in War and Peace. Literally, I will watch
Yeah,
that time and time again. And
Happy
he was
Valley.
just,
So he's
yes, oh
completely
my God,
diverse
yes.
actor. Yeah,
Yeah, he's
so
just brilliant.
brilliant.
But then I just like, so then, so you've got Godwin and then you've got Harold, and you're like, well, hang on. Well, as you say, East End character who could just literally be in a Walford, and then his accent. I was like, we got father and
Yeah.
son. How? What? I don't know. And like, yeah,
And
not that.
Godwin was brought up. I mean, he had a crazy background. His father was beheaded, and so he really built himself up. And for him to have this short temper and sort of roaring
Yeah,
around and being all like this, and I felt that James Lawton's Harold was like an overgrown boy stomping around, being all pissed off with his older brother and his younger brother,
Yeah.
and like
Yeah.
they don't recognise my wife who's not my wife, and it was just like I just and also him and William didn't meet when they met in the show. They didn't meet until a lot later, and Matilda wasn't torturing people, especially when heavily pregnant. There were all these things. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Why have we done this?
Yeah.
I
And
just
was William at Edward the Confessor's coronation?
Not that I
Don't
know
think
of,
so.
because he was actually, because they were talking about how they were boyhood friends. Well, Edward the Confessor is 20 years older, at
Yeah.
least,
Yeah.
than William the Conqueror and
Yeah.
Harold. And also he'd been king for a while and then got married to Edith, and I
Mm.
know that they didn't have any children, and it was very
Mm.
much said at the time that
Yeah.
um the reason was because Edward was very devout and stuff, and that might have been the case, but I don't think that made him have some weird sort of relationship with his mother who was just like on him all the time. And I mean, making her into some baddie weirdo.
Yes, that was the interesting thing as well. I was just like, and actually the backlash from everyone, I was just like, where has this come from? Where have you got that from? You know? Mm.
Didn't I think they made it into a baddies and
Yeah.
goodies,
Yeah.
and again, like we were just talking about with Wolf Hall and things, it's the human story is what I love about history, and it's not like what that is, because everyone had lots of things going on. I mean, Emma of Normandy came over from Normandy, married um Ethelred and Ready, had some sons. He'd already been married and had sons, so she had stepsons. Her son was Edward the Confessor. And then later on, after he died, there's all the stuff going on. And then she marries
Marrying
Canute,
scam.
Knup,
Exactly.
and had so her life didn't need to be lied about as much, if I
Yeah.
can go that far, because she was such an interesting character. She was
Anyway,
a
yes.
woman in her own right who had loads of stuff going on,
Yeah.
and she was all about the sons that she had and the children she had. I mean, her second husband killed the two sons of her first husband
That's,
who weren't hers. So Edward the Confessor, his stepdad, killed two of his half brothers,
yeah.
and it was all about getting the house in order to be the king. I understand that, but why did it have to be made into like Edward being this
Weird
posy
character.
sissy
Mm.
character?
Mm.
And it was just, and they kept, and why did they keep meeting in the forest? Why did
Yeah.
William go to
Yeah.
go in the forest and then
Also,
get
can we also talk about Spa Day that they met and they had baths right next door to each other in a
yeah,
spa? I don't think so. That's not going to happen. You know,
no.
just a bit, trying to shoehorn it in, and then it's almost like, oh, I can't think of anything. Let's do that, and then like but then
The other characters, because you like at that time it was very much like when Edward the Confessor died. Originally, the Witan had decided that Harold was
yeah,
going to be
yeah,
king, so there was all these political things. It wasn't just the people; it was the broader sense of
yeah,
government or council that was going on that was making things happen. And what I like about that time is um all the sort of backstabbing and but secret politics that people were making with each other, so
mm.
being nice on the outside and stuff. And I felt like it was to me an old episode of EastEnders, and I was waiting for Frank and Pat Butcher to show up.
So
And
here's a question for you, because I
mm,
don't actually know what the answer is, and you might. Is um in I don't know whether you've got this far yet or whether you've just given up anyway on it, but it get because I can't remember which episodes it's in. But the whole when Edward's dead and it's Harold like doesn't admit that he's dead, and then he actually did. So Edward in Chronicle, Edward dies, and then the following day Harold is crowned. Is like
yeah,
and that's
well,
a very quick coronation. So it made me think,
yeah.
oh, actually, was there a they made that out there was a time delay because actually Edward was dead for however long they put it into the sequence, and he lied about it so that, and because it is a very strange thing that you would get, but the truth is that, like, the Witten did meet and did say, yes,
Yeah,
Harold is going to be king. And
yeah,
so, but it was the day after, and he was the first king to be crowned in Westminster Abbey, wasn't he, I think? And so
yeah.
you're just
It's
kind of like, I mean, I guess there's a chink there, because actually that wouldn't normally happen necessarily. So have they
no,
just taken real artistic license by
I
having
think
that as,
so.
like, to make it into the story?
I think coronations happens more quickly than they did later on,
Mm.
mainly to stop all the fighting and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
Like when you look back, well, it's later on when you've got Matilda and Stephen when they're vying for the throne. I mean, she was nearly crowned, but she wasn't. But they put such an emphasis on, and they talk about this in the courses that we're doing with Nicola and Nathan, our friends, um, about the emphasis that people put on being an anointed king. So
yeah,
when that crown and
yeah.
scepter, when that's on you,
And that's there.
that is it.
You
That's
are.
why it's so sacrosanct. So I mean, there was a big thing about William being told by Edward that he was going to make him his heir, and so I know that there's a lot of seems to be half dozen of one, isn't it? And people being said, but it was Harold was definitely opportunistic. He came in and took it, but he had the backing of his father and his brothers and
Mm.
everything.
But it
Um,
was Harold. It was Harold originally, and Edward did say it was going to be Harold, wasn't it? And then he was that they were exiled. The whole family were exiled, and then he said, "Oh, William, you'll be king." And
well,
then it was kind of like, wasn't it
I
that? And
thought
then
I thought it was William was very much like, well, it should be me. And I think bloodline wise, that would have made more sense, possibly to Edward. I mean, because Edward had loads of half brothers
mm,
on all sides of his family and stepbrothers over in Norway and Denmark as well through his stepfather. And but through Emma, who is sort of the central person in all of this, it was her brother who was William the Conqueror's grandfather. So there was that link there. But obviously they were French and from Normandy and that. So it wasn't. Whereas Godwin, who also was, I mean, Harold was half Danish. His mother
yeah,
was Geetha, um, and had that Viking connection. So there was there was a bit of what is English, who is English,
yeah,
how are we English? Bear in mind that because also they kept talking about the kingdoms of Wessex and Mercia at the beginning. And I was like,
yeah.
but that had already been sort of fully
Sorted
formed
out. Yeah,
by a couple of generations. And yes, probably still thought in those terms, but I thought that was confusing for the audience who are thinking, oh, it is still quite separate, whereas really it was very much sort of
it was
seen
one
as,
king, and
yeah,
then
one
the earls, the
kingdom.
three earls, should have been, yeah,
Yeah, so
less.
I found that
Mm,
quite difficult. But I always sort of understood it that Edward had told William he was going to be the king, and it was all sort of agreed amongst themselves without,
mm,
you know,
yeah.
but did he actually have a will, or did he say on his deathbed? I don't know. I mean, his
Don't know.
wife was Harold's sister,
Harold's
so I mean,
sister.
I don't know enough to know. I'll go and have a look. I'm going to go and read about it now and try and figure that out. But from what I understood, it wasn't quite clear cut. But I imagine because he was 60 odd when he died, Edward the Confessor, he
Mm,
would have there would have been quite a clear plan, and I would have thought it
yeah,
would have been quite clear with everyone. And because
yeah,
they used to get people to agree and to swear their allegiance and
yeah.
their oaths to the lords and things, I would have thought it would have been set out what happened after he
To
actually died and who, if someone was going to come in
exactly,
and take over
exactly.
anyway.
Yeah.
No, it's just saying like when he was yeah, he was 60 odd. So I think it would have been quite a clear there would have been clear aims or at least clear contenders about who could have been. And the end of the day, at that time, Harold was an unmarried man with, in the eyes of the church, which was the main, or certainly the main religion coming up. Um, so him, so because it was all about who's coming next and who is legitimate. So I thought it would be very clear it would be William, which is also funny because of how weird everyone used to be about illegitimacy and stuff. And there we are
Mm.
with William, a bastard. who
yeah.
ends up being on the throne. So I don't think it was as clear cut as that, which makes it more interesting.
Which
So
makes it
this
more interesting
stupid,
because you're absolutely right. You wouldn't. He was on the. Was he on the throne for like 24 years? Was it or longer? And how on earth would you not have your succession sorted? It's just illogical, isn't it? Really. I mean, you might not have an heir. You might not have might not have given birth. Your wife might not have given birth because you might not have actually
yeah,
consummated the
and
marriage. But
no chance of giving birth from the
yeah,
sounds of it.
yeah,
And what I've because of the backgrounds before, so I think in the um since Alfred the Great died, you had such a mixture of
yeah,
very short-lived reigns of
yeah, yeah. You
sons
did.
and brothers because
Yeah.
people were either not having children or were dying very young. I think there were four or five because they were all started begin with E, like Edward, Edmund, Edgar, Edgith, and all that. They
Ethelbert.
only
Yeah.
reigned for like 4 or 5 years,
Mm,
and were leaving either very small children behind or no one at all,
yeah.
and then it would be going to a younger son or younger brother, and so. I would have thought having that unrest would have made someone who had longevity on his side and was
Mm,
ruling for such a long time. I would have thought that would have been
yeah.
his number one thing, making
Yeah.
sure when he left, because he wasn't going to have children, a little bit like Elizabeth I. I mean, she seemed to do that
Yes.
as well. She didn't
Yes, she did, didn't she? Yeah.
plan, even
Mm,
though her father spent his reign
mm.
basically making sure who came
But
after
I
him was
think
going to
she
be
she didn't
ready.
plan. She didn't plan because it put a target on their back.
Yeah,
So I think that was the reason why she didn't. I don't know whether or not I would say the same for Edward the Confessor. Everything you hear about him,
yeah,
King and Conqueror aside, he was heavy, he was pious, he was,
yeah.
devout, he was this, that,
And
and the
cared
other,
about his
and cared,
lands.
yeah. And I wouldn't have put him in the same category, but you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Elizabeth did do exactly the same, but I think hers, well, you don't know because we weren't there, but,
Well, there's some
what we
traumatic
think
childhood.
is, yeah, well, yeah,
Yeah,
what you think is because what happened to her, she doesn't want to happen to whoever she names, which you could
yeah,
kind of get.
yeah. So I think there's so much of a better story elsewhere. I don't know who wrote King and Conqueror and stuff, and the idea behind it and how it came about, but I just feel like they missed a trick. This because a lot of people will watch this and then believe that this is what's happened, and that's what gets my goat when you got all the people going on. But what I have found very interesting is how people are up in arms, especially about Emma of Normandy and how she's being portrayed.
Mm, mm,
And anyone who's watched Vikings Valhalla,
yeah,
where she's seen as this beautiful young woman who does what she needs to do, but ends up falling in love, and it's a real love story with her Canute. It's such a different thing, and I'm sure that both are nowhere near the real Emma of Normandy. I mean, again, she was a woman who had to sort of do as she was told, marry who she was told, and keep
yeah.
her wits about her. That seemed to be the main thing for a woman to do, was keep their wits about them and play the long game.
I have to,
Whereas,
I have to say though, for a drama like that, I think the inclusion of the wives, I thought was good. I think, do you know what I
yeah,
mean? When you kind of like get King and Conqueror, that's the title. We know it's going to be about Harold. We know it's going to be about William. But the inclusion of the women, which
yes,
would normally get left behind and normally not get a look in, was
yeah.
good, except the representation of them wasn't great, is what I would say.
Yeah, and I love Clemence Posey. She's an amazing
Yeah,
actress, and her
yeah,
being, I mean, I like that they made her into a strong woman who
mm,
seemed to have an equal partnership with William. But again, the story, I mean, no one knows the truth, but there are lots of stories about how they got together and how their marriage was arranged and
yeah,
stuff. And it was seen to be a love match, certainly later on. But at the beginning, there was talk that, I mean, there's stories that he went in and sort of dragged her out by her hair and was made to
yeah,
marry her, and or there was a story that she was in love with somebody else beforehand and was rebuked by him, and then ended up having to marry this bastard, and all of that. And then you think, well, these are great stories as well. Why aren't we looking at those? Why are
yeah,
we looking at this made up? She's got a bit of a secret fancy for torturing and cutting off people's
yeah,
hands and stuff. I mean,
yeah.
maybe I need to give it a go and carry on watching it. But at the moment, I don't think
So
I
the thing is,
can.
my husband doesn't really know about that era. I mean, I don't know it well, but like, I know more than he does, and I was kind of trying to zip it so that I wasn't ruining it for him. Um, because there's nothing worse than someone colouring what you're going to think of it before making up your own mind. But he himself said, this timeline doesn't work. This isn't like, so he,
Yeah,
like, so for someone who wasn't even, we know a bit about it, a lot about it, but, so I know what's going to happen, and I know what happens in the kind of like the timescales. And I was like, this isn't working, and he was even saying this isn't working. So if a layman
yeah,
is watching it, then the job that they were trying to do with the drama completely didn't work,
yeah,
because the person you're supposed to reach there and bring history to life for people who haven't been who don't know about these things, is not working on either level for
no.
either him or me, sort of thing. So I don't know,
Well,
it's interesting.
I mean, I settled down to watch it with Matt and my son Harry, and it starts off, it opens the scenes and that, and I immediately had my back up, and
Yeah,
I was immediately whispering to Matt, going, "That actually didn't happen," and I know he hates it when I do that, and I hate myself doing it, but
yeah,
cannot help it
I
because
know,
I just think, why have you done that? I mean, within 5 minutes, it
I
was
know.
not going to plan, so and I
Yeah,
so
go on then.
basically. I wasn't happy,
No,
and I don't know if I can watch the end of it. And I'm so
no,
gutted because I love Nicolaj and James
yeah,
Norton, but there we
yeah.
are.
I've watched all of it. I wasn't completely happy about it, and I think their artistic license was taken far too far,
Way, way
and
too far.
and I thought everyone had incredibly nice teeth, which I know that they wouldn't have done, and they had hills in London, which they wouldn't have had hills there, because London
Yeah,
wasn't very big back then. So I was
yeah,
just like, no, no. Even on that level, I was like, no.
yeah, yeah. And the babies on the bed, why weren't they rolling off? Just things
Yeah.
like that. That's what I know. It's silly.
Exactly. So there we go. But yeah.
Yes, but I don't know if we get a snog, marry, and avoiding. Do you want to
Don't know.
go?
Let's try it. Yeah. So I think after all that conversation, anyway, I would snog Harold without a doubt,
Because it's
because
James Norton,
just
or
a James Norton.
he's
So
lovely.
I would snog him. Well, because obviously he basically, I think, pretty much, he was a powerful guy. He was a gold boy, wasn't he? Like in Edward Confessor's time. So I think he was a bit cheeky, and I probably would snog him. I would marry probably William, because why not? And he gave us so much after he won. He gave us so much. I think of all the lovely, hit the whole Norman dynasty now, and think of all the lovely castles and everything that we've got, and the
Yes, true.
Doomsday Book and the feudal system, and all of that lot. So I probably would marry him, because I don't think I could marry Edward the Confessor, even though I don't think of him as that character that Eddie Marsan plays. But he was a bit too pious, and a bit too very
Yeah.
devout, very godly, which is brilliant. But I don't think we'd match character wise. So yeah, I would definitely avoid him. But it's a toss up really between the other two. But yeah, I don't
Yeah,
know.
I know what you mean. Well, I was gonna do it was either gonna be between Matilda, Edith, Edward the Confessor's Edith, and Emma of Normandy. And I was thinking I would marry Matilda because
Mm,
of the fact that she came to be Queen of England, but also because she was an independent and wealthy woman in her own
yeah,
right. She had a
yeah,
lot of money of her own, and whatever their beginnings were, it does seem to me that they ended up having more of an equal marriage than probably any of the others. So um, I think that would be my safe bet. And I think for my snog, I was a bit more torn because I think I went with Edith because I thought she probably needed cheering up as she did have
yeah,
such a colourless marriage. Maybe a cheeky snog would cheer
yeah,
her up. But
yeah.
also Emma and Normandy, I just think of all the family drama that she was involved with. And if I was going anywhere near there, I would be embroiled in it. And I just don't need that in my life, with all the
No,
different stepchildren and different
too many.
husbands and all the headaches. I think it would be safe to avoid her,
I
although
think
I
you're right.
don't think she was a
As bad.
crazy, um, you know,
Yeah.
mummy weirdo as she was made
No.
out to be.
No. I
So
agree.
that's
Okay, that's a
that
good
was
choice.
mine.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yep.
Cool. Very good. So next time we're going to discuss the course that we're currently on, as we mentioned earlier, and we're going to talk about. Remind me of the course title: Tudor Dynasty, Making of a Tudor Dynasty,
Creation of a dynasty.
Creation of a
So
Tudor Dynasty.
I
I mean,
can't wait.
I've done all 5 lectures already, and still haven't got the title right.
Well, I can't wait because I haven't heard the Margaret Beaufort lecture, which I
Oh,
think is the Dane lecture,
I've
which
heard that
who
one, so
is
it's very good.
one
It's
of
very
my
good. So
favourite people in
it's
the
made me
world.
get out. It made me get
Oh
out
yes.
Nicola's book again. So I'm gonna start reading this again, which I started when we met her at Southwark History Festival, which she pulled together. And you are obviously looking at Son of Prophecy, which is
Yes,
Nathan's
Nathan's
book as
book,
well.
and I'm
Yeah,
so excited about this one, and learning more about Jasper and the younger the Seventh before he became king. So I'm
yeah,
very, very, very excited about this. So yes,
perfect.
it's going to be great. We will talk about that next time.